Good afternoon, everyone. We have a saying in the London media industry, which is you only ever get to present at a conference, media conference in Brussels, twice in your career. Once on the way up, and once on the way back down again. So I'd just like to say, it's great to be back. The other thing is, this is the second time in 5 days that I've been asked to be the last presenter of 8 presentations. I'm beginning to worry that it's because I'm very good at emptying a room, I'm not sure, but anyway, so I'll get on with it, shall I? So we've heard about how technology is opening up new opportunities for new stations, and how different platforms can allow radio brands to extend in different ways and connect with audiences at a broader and deeper level. So as Olivier has just said, this next part of the presentation is looking at radio in the wider audio context, but specifically, we want to take that on to the advertising plane as well and explore what that means from an advertising perspective. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm a great fan of always having a David Bowie quote in every presentation. So here's the one in this one. Work. Yes, there we go. Bowie, what a genius. So 14 years ago, he told the New York Times, the absolute transformation of everything that we ever thought about music would take place in 10 years. Music is going to become like running water, in which context he meant it's going to be free-flowing and ubiquitous. How right did he get that? So I guess there's a question, in a world when you can access pretty much any track that you want to listen to at any time, from any device, or even just a single device you carry in your pocket, how is that changing or influencing the way people engage with audio services? So that's what we set out to try and explore with this project. Specifically, we wanted to try and establish the overall size of the audio market in the UK and different elements within this. But then we also wanted to understand the role played by different services in people's lives, where they overlap, where they differ, and get a sense of if there's any change or trends developing here. There were 2 data sources. The first one is part of the wider radio audience measurement survey, RADAR. 2 times a year they publish data about listening across the wider audio market, incorporating services beyond radio. And the second element was a qualitative element. In fact, it was a deep dive, self-ethnographic qualitative study, which basically involved us asking a representative range of listeners across the country to record themselves on their smartphone cameras every time they were listening to audio. And over a 2-week period, we monitored 448 audio days. We got 832 individual clips of audio moments and a total of some 72 hours of video. So, having those 2 data sources, what did we find out about it? Well, interestingly, and people have already touched on this so far, audio listening patterns are evolving. So this shows the share of total audio hours by different formats. So the purple is live radio, the orange is owned audio or people's personal music collections, the pink is stream services, blue is online music and audio clips such as YouTube, and finally, the sort of greeny colour at the top is catch-up radio and podcasts. So things are evolving. It may not look like it here, especially when you look at the radio element. You might be surprised to know that actually across this period, we have seen radio's share of overall audio listening actually increase slightly. So radio is still holding its ground. But maybe the more interesting stuff is happening here. So let's quickly explode those out. And I think here is where you can see an interesting pattern developing. So the pink is streamed audio or streamed music services, and we can see that they've grown progressively over the last 3 years, and predominantly they seem to be taking that share away from people's personal music collections. So you may have heard people talk about moving from an ownership model to an access model, and clearly we can see that developing here. And to a certain degree, that reflects how listeners use different formats. We found that everybody in our study, even the very younger end of the audience, who rarely listen to radio on a radio device, as Mark has already highlighted, they still really have a very strong idea exactly what radio is. However, the lines get a bit more blurred amongst the other services between YouTube, stream music services, people's personal music collection. So we've lumped them all together under a generic heading of on-demand audio. And as I go through the rest of this presentation, I'll sort of highlight if there are specific elements where one particular element of on-demand audio performs more strongly than another. So, why have we seen some kind of evolution in audio listening coming through? Firstly, we sort of covered this already. There's a functional reason, which is basically audio is just more available. You know, we've all got a mobile phone, which basically means we can listen to pretty much anything whenever we want. The second reason, though, is more emotional. So it seems that audio is perfectly suited to help us cope with the demands that are placed on us in modern life and help alleviate some of the stresses we face. In fact, we identified 6 need states that are served very effectively by audio. And here they are. Now, we've mapped them on these axes, so from top to bottom, ones that are more personal, ones that are more social, and from your left to right, ones that are content-led and ones that are context or situation-led. So what I'd like to do now is quickly just tell you a little bit more about each one of these and which audio format meets that need most effectively, all with a little bit of help from our listeners. So starting with Keep Me in the Loop. People talk about how life is very hectic these days, and sometimes they can find it difficult to stay in touch. So we may have 24/7 access to Twitter or news feeds, but using those can sometimes be a bit of a hassle. Audio can help people stay in touch, in the loop, with very little effort.
Most of the time, when you're about, you don't really listen to the news unless you get in at 6 or something.
Yeah.
So on Channel 1,
Yeah.
you're like, okay, let me have a bit of the news.
I get the bus in, and like it comes literally right outside my house, and then basically outside my office. So at no point am I going past like a bus garage or anything like that where I'd get like the metro or something. So that is the only kind of time I listen to the news.
I like to know what's going on, you know, and it's nice to hear it live rather than, there's no point hearing it a few hours later. You want to hear it as it happens.
I want to hear the headline of the day. I want to know what's happened overnight. Basically, I want to hear the news, and they often are interviewing interesting people at this time of day as well. I will often always listen to the radio when I make my breakfast because I don't have time to read the newspaper.
I decided to listen to the radio so that I could get some traffic updates as well, rather than just listening to Spotify or something. And also it's good because you pop it on, you don't need to search for the songs or anything.
You get the traffic reports, which when you're driving across Bristol is invaluable, and also you get to hear a bit of news, which is always good in the morning.
The radio always, like every half an hour, I think it is,
Yeah.
breaks out and then gives you just like the top stories.
Yeah.
And then it's something that, me especially, if I hear something that I've heard of the radio, then when I get on the train I'm grabbing the Evening Standard and looking for that story.
Interesting.
So it does prompt you to look at stuff that you probably wouldn't have heard.
Okay, it's a bit disorientating, those people who can't hold the camera very still, when you're standing next to it here. Anyway, so when we talk about audio in this sense, I mean, clearly, really it's about live radio. This is one of the things that really sets radio apart, the ability to deliver news and information in real time to people. The next need state is to help me escape. So in our busy lives, sometimes we find it difficult to take the time out and relax and really connect with ourselves and start to feel things. Let's hear what people said.
If you're down or you really don't want to speak to anybody, music is a good way of just going into yourself.
Just about to listen to some music in bed just before I go to sleep, just to calm me down and just relax, really.
Trying to relax me from stress of work, really.
Worked really late today until about 10 o'clock, so it's nice to just come home and relax, listen to some music, radio or anything from my laptop, my tunes. So yeah, I've been listening to music and just showing on my laptop for about an hour now. It's just relaxing and getting in the mood for holiday I'm going.
I'm going to come in here for a bit of quiet time. I'm going to listen to Spotify, and I'm going to have half an hour. I'm only going to do it because I need to chill out a bit because I'm a bit stressed after that drive home from BARBER.
That last guy, if you don't understand his accent, don't worry, I don't either. He's a Geordie. So Help Me Escape, as you saw there, I think predominantly it's on-demand services, particularly people's personal music collection or stream music services that are used to meet this need. And that's because they offer a much more immersive music experience with little interruption. radio did feature a few times, but it tended to be very specific programmes, such as Mellow Magic or Smooth Sanctuary, that met this particular need. Next is Lift My Mood. So here we observed a lot of people using audio as a sort of an energizer or a pick-me-up or a bit of moral support as they go about everyday mundane tasks.
As you can see, it's a lovely sunny day today, and I like to have the windows open and the music loud. It helps you get to work in the morning because you can have the music up loud and wakes you up.
It's just there to kind of perk me up, so it's either if I'm having a long drive or if I don't want to be cleaning my room or I need to wake up and get ready for work and I want to kind of, you know, really wake up and not feel sluggish and stuff. That's when I listen to music.
In the morning, on my daily commute, in the morning it's probably, well, it's just 7 o'clock now. You can't replace the radio, like, to get you up, you know, you're a bit bleary-eyed. You need to get a bit woken up, you know, gradually.
I listen to Tiesto's Club Life podcast. The reason why I listen to that is because I was in the gym and it's really upbeat, and also it's good because you know exactly what you're listening to. It should need upbeat music for the gym.
It's my washing up time. It is Radio 1 on the Roberts radio in the kitchen. Look at this. Oof.
Radio is kind of like, it is kind of what keeps me lifted in the day. So like when I wake up and I'm doing my makeup, it takes about half an hour. And it's like, if I put that on, I know that I have to stay upbeat in carry on doing it. Yeah, it just gets you through the day faster, I think, now.
Okay, so in this context, people use radio to help lift their mood predominantly. And that's because it is seen as something that can change or lift a mood, whereas on-demand music services tend to be used predominantly to match a given mood. I think also radio is unique in its ability to provide companionship. It's the human element that really counts here. Okay, amplify the moment. This is all about making the most of those moments when we're connecting with other people socially. Audio, and music in particular, can help make those moments feel even more significant.
The noise kind of builds the atmosphere. And then if you have a song that somebody personally knows, like when a Bob Marley song comes on, everybody's up. Everybody's up and everybody's raving.
If you're having a barbecue and you sort of, it was a party atmosphere, we're having a drink, and I think you don't want to listen to radio presenters speaking, you just want music.
Just to show you what we've been listening on, just listening to some history, bit old school, bit of little radio going. Just there.
Just finished having the party for the 1-year-old. We've been listening to an 80s, 90s and 2000 mix tonight, which has been quite cool, something for everyone. Now the job is actually getting this little one to actually go to sleep after listening to lots and lots of music. So wish us luck.
We're listening to the music from an app which is on Leah's phone, which is surrounded by the whole house, and it makes us feel happy and it's lovely atmosphere.
I'm not sure it's just the music that was contributing to the lovely atmosphere there. Anyway, so in this particular instance, I think when it comes to amplifying the moment, clearly on demand seems to be the predominant format that's used. And that could be people's personal music collections, stream music services, or even YouTube playlists. And that's partly, as we've already covered, because you can help choose exactly the right music to match the moment that you're in. Radio did feature, as we saw with Seb and his Frisbee in the Guardian, his old school radio, listening to specific shows like History, or maybe stuff like Heart Club Classics. Okay, moving on, providing social currency. So audio can do this in two ways. Firstly, it can help spark conversations between friends, family, and colleagues. And secondly, it can help people feel relevant as part of those conversations.
I find that when I get to work, when I've been listening to them, like another girl that I work with, she always listens to them on the way in the morning, and she'll say, did you hear what they were saying this morning? And it starts a conversation about, within our office where I am, we like whatever they've been talking about.
I don't work for a big company, it's just me and my dad. And because we work all week together, a lot of the time we haven't really got anything to talk about.
Yeah.
So we're just getting on with it. We're quite busy, and it's nice to just have the van door open, radio on, you know, bit of chit chat or whatever. On the occasion, have Kiss or XFM.
It's good to go to your friends with a playlist either on your phone or again with your Spotify, like playing it whether you're at barbecue or just with me when I'm in the gym, and you've got a brand new tune that everyone will love.
That's what I'm hoping for most days.
Yeah.
Is there something new that either played way ahead of everyone else, or maybe that my friends haven't heard yet and I can bring to the party.
I was in the car, I was in a traffic jam, and Steve and Karen were talking about something funny on the radio, and I can't remember for the life of us what it was, but I can remember laughing at the thing, and I was like laughing my head off, and there was some lads in a work van to the side of us, and they were laughing, and they went, and he had the window open, he went, "Are you listening to Steve and Karen?" I went, "Yeah." So we used to sit and talk in a traffic jam, and I thought, well, because what we were both listening to, we were both laughing at it.
Yeah, who needs Tinder when you've got commercial radio, eh? Once live radio came top in this particular need, and I think that's because radio provides the conversation topics or the funny moments that help get people talking. And secondly, and uniquely, when it comes to music, radio inserts those little nuggets of trivia or gossip that can help people feel better informed and more relevant as part of the conversation. Okay, final one. Broaden my horizons. So this is all about our curiosity and our desire to discover new things beyond those things that we know we already like. Let's see what they say.
I'll go to like Groove Shark or something, and then I'll sit there and think, right,
Yeah.
what do I want to listen to? And my mind goes blank, and I sit there, and then I'll have to sort of try and think back or think, so, you know, what did I hear this morning?
I find I can sometimes get a little bit, don't really know what to put on, don't really know what I want to listen to.
I think I'm quite a bit narrow with the music I like. I'm really picky with what I like, but if I'm listening to radio, I'm just so much more open-minded.
I love Spotify. It's a lot of fun just roaming around, finding out new songs that are on here and looking around at new albums and new types of artists that are around.
I like listening to the radio in the car. I think it sort of gives you the freedom of, I don't know, sort of hearing new music that you might not have heard when new releases come out and things like that, whereas if you're listening to your own music on your iTunes or something like that, you know what you've got and you know what's going to be coming next.
Capital Extra will sometimes play songs where I'm like, no idea who the singer is, but
Yeah.
I am loving this song,
Yeah.
loving life,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't think to download it, wouldn't even know what the name of the person is, and that's when you can like Shazam it and stuff like that.
Okay, so in this particular instance, again, live radio tended to be the predominant format used. And I think it's partly that sort of unexpected pleasure of hearing a new song and absolutely loving it, like Camilla just mentioned. It's one of the joys of discovery with live radio that you can't quite get anywhere else yet. She also talked about the increasingly symbiotic relationship between live radio and on-demand audio. So that idea of Shazamming a track that you're not familiar with and then adding it to a playlist to listen to later. And I think that's a neat sort of encapsulation of the symbiotic relationship between the two and how they complement one another very effectively. So as this chart sort of tries to demonstrate, both live radio and on-demand services tend to serve what's most popular, relevant to the particular situation. But with live radio, what makes it unique is the human voice and the human choice. So in an age when digital technology tends to serve us more of what we already know we like, radio retains that element to surprise. And it also helps connect us to the wider world, giving us reasons to talk to people and also helping fill those conversations with interesting information. And it does all of this with very little input, which actually people really value. All I have to do is press a button. That's great. On-demand services, on the other hand, are unique in that they can give you access, in theory at least, to pretty much any track you want to listen to at any time. You've got total control, instant gratification, and a much more immersive music experience. And whereas radio tends to connect people to a wider world, on-demand services tend to connect people to their more immediate world, be that their friends or family or people they share musical tastes with. But Well, that was talking about them at an overall level, but we're all commercial beasts in this room, aren't we? So, what does it mean from a commercial perspective? So this is everything that was included in the survey. Let's break it down and take out all of the stuff that doesn't take ads. So BBC's going, for a start. You can't buy ads in people's personal music collections, so they're going to go. Online music and video clips tend to be sold as video, so we'll get rid of that as well. And streaming services, well, you've got to get rid of the people who pay for their subscription to avoid ads. So if we take all of those out, this is what we're left with. The commercial bit of audio, live commercial radio catch-up and podcasts, and the non-paid subscriber element of streamed music services. So how does listening break down across those? Well, here we go. You can see that commercial radio really dominates commercial audio. Now, you may be looking at that and saying, yeah, but commercial audio has sort of developed this 11% wedge. Actually, maybe this chart isn't the best way of saying it, because before there wasn't commercial audio. It's just additional inventory, commercial inventory. Commercial audio, as a format, is growing its audience. And a common point that would be made is that younger people tend to have more advanced use of technology, and we can see that coming through here, where amongst 15 to 24s, 25% of their commercial audio listening is taken up by streamed or on-demand services, but still, commercial radio has 75% share of their total audience. Okay, so now I'm going to quickly segue, realizing that I'm running out of time, into what's the implications of all of this for advertisers. I'm going to base a bit of analysis on this study, which is great. If you haven't read it or heard of it, you can buy it from the Institute of Practitioners in Advertising website, the long and the short of it. A great analysis of 30 years' worth of IPA effectiveness case studies, which reviews the different effects that advertising has on business outcomes, such as sales, market share, profit. I really wish this analysis had been available when I was a media planner. It's great. So I'm going to talk you through a couple of very brief headlines. Number one, the authors conclude from analysing the data that the most effective campaigns strike the right balance between investing in long-term brand building and shorter-term activation strategies. If you use them both in balance, campaigns are more effective, they're more efficient, and they're more profitable. And the optimum investment ratio is 60-40 in favour of brand building. So I thought, let's consider radio within this context, because the analysis also highlights what are the desired characteristics of campaigns for both activation and brand building. So with radio and activation, these are the qualities that you want from activation campaigns. It's about efficiencies, precision targeting. Well, we know that radio can do that in terms of specific audience, time of day, day of week. It's about getting closer to the point of purchase or the point of influence. We know that radio can do that too. And finally, cost and lead time. Everyone is comfortable with the idea that you can turn messages around very cheaply and efficiently on radio. So let's put that to one side and consider, oh, sorry, I forgot about this. I moved some slides around at the last minute. Why do I do this? And just to demonstrate radio's strengths in this area, here's some ROI analysis that we conducted a couple of years ago. It shows in terms of return on investment, radio delivers second only to TV and was number one in many of the categories that we looked at within this. So more importantly, radio and brand building. I think this is really interesting. So here are the desired characteristics for strong brand building campaigns. You need high reach, so you can reach all category purchasers. You need to have emotional influence. And finally, you need an ability to build brand fame. So let's start with reach. In the UK, radio reaches 90% of the population every week. And I know in Belgium it's very similar. We've got a slight challenge in the UK that we have a very strong BBC, so our commercial reach isn't as strong as yours in Belgium, but radio is a high-reach medium. In terms of emotional influence, a study that we ran a few years ago showed that actually listeners feel twice as happy when they're listening to radio compared to when they're not consuming any media. And that's higher than the other media that we measured within this study. Happier listeners are more receptive to ads. And thirdly, in terms of brand fame, analysis from the IPA data bank demonstrated that adding radio to a campaign can have a significant uplift effect on brand fame metrics. And there are some examples of radio really helping to make brands famous. You may have heard of this.
Auto glass repair, auto glass replace.
That was all over UK radio as well, and I think it ran here as well, didn't it? Yeah, murmurings. Is that good or bad? I'm going to move on. Radio has all the right characteristics to help drive brand fame. Our most recent study actually looks more specifically at how it can develop and make brands grow. This is a really complex chart. I'm going to summarize it by saying, if you add audio on top of audio-visual exposure, people's associative network for a brand grows to a significant degree. That's all for that. Because radio is strong at both short and long-term effects, then you can see those coming through across the board. Every type of advertising effect is boosted when radio is included in the mix, from short-term sales through brand equity measures through to longer-term things such as price elasticity or share price. So the final bit, and I've run out of time, so I'm going to talk really fast. I think it's really interesting that we're now in an era where voice-activated technology is growing. So voice-activated search, obviously technology such as Amazon Echo. And I think from an advertising perspective, that raises a big question, which is, at some stage, will the response to voice-activated commands be delivered through audio? And in which context, how does your brand sound? Brands have tended to build themselves on the back of distinctive and consistent visual imagery, but very few brands use audio well. And that's a shame, because if you do use audio consistently over time, you can really develop very strong brand recognition, even if people aren't paying attention. So this is from a study we ran last year, looking at the effects of consistent use of music for brands. And I'm going to skip over the example quickly. And then we also, so beyond driving brand recognition, if you use music consistently, it also makes your advertising feel familiar, which makes people like it more. It's basic human psychology, something called the familiarity principle or the mere exposure effect. The more we are exposed to something which is not intolerable, then the more we like it. And finally, again from an advertising perspective, it's been proven that if you use music well, you can make your ads work harder. You can increase attention, product, or brand message. You can also increase intent to purchase, and it's been demonstrated to have a direct effect on increasing sales further by between 10 and 30%. So music is really vital. Using music consistently can make your brand stand out and make your advertising, and let's be clear here, not just in terms of audio advertising, TV advertising as well, make it much more effective. So I have two more slides. The first is, if I were to tell a vision to you, what do I think I'd like to see happening? Well, actually, I think there's, commercial audio is growing. When a lot of traditional media audiences are challenged, commercial audio is growing. So that's a great opportunity for advertisers because it reaches people in places and at times when other advertising struggles. So it's a great opportunity for you to exploit. Secondly, I'd like you to all go away and think not just as radio as a tactical medium, think of it as a brand building medium, because that's a hugely untapped opportunity. And I think clever advertisers can use radio in that way, zag whilst everybody else is zigging, and gain a real advantage on the market. And even if you use radio tactically, think about how you can develop a brand building strategy as part of that. And I think this is crucial. Develop distinctive audio assets. Of course, it will help your radio advertising be more effective and more brand-led. Secondly, though, I think the way technology is taking us, voice-activated technology, means that audio is going to become increasingly important across any platform and important for brands, that they are distinct and clearly identified within that context. So if you've enjoyed what you've heard today and want to find out some more stuff, the Radio Centre website, radiocentre.org, has a few tools on there that you might want to play with. The Brand Music Navigator allows you to sort of dig in and find some music inspiration. They're all freely available and that sort of thing, so just something you might be interested in. Other than that, thank you very much for your time and attention. Sorry I overran. And here's Olivier again. Yes, thank you.